Hey, what's going on, everyone? Sly, and I want to talk about Kyle Shanahan and some things that he said about the whole Dre Greenlaws situation. I was driving home, I was listening to KNBR, and he was on, and he said some pretty interesting things. Let's hear what he had to say, and we'll talk about it.
Let me ask you about. I don't. We'll get into the whole Dre Greenlaw thing, but I knew that at least I don't want to. Yeah, I did. I knew they were going to give him a 15-yarder because when you suplex a guy onto the field, they're going to give you a 15-yard penalty. I mean, that's just that's the way it goes. How do you deal with that? Is it like that's who he is and that's what he does to be ready to play? Because there have been other instances where maybe it's a hit out of bounds or maybe it's something that crossed the line a little bit that leaves you guys maybe in a 15-yard hole. This time it actually was an ejection, which I disagree with, but we'll get into that. But is that something you just like, that's what makes him who he is? Or do you try to say, we want you to be who you are, but some of the other stuff can hurt us?
Oh no, we don't ever just let it go. It's I mean, I want our players to be as physical as they possibly can, but I don't ever want to get a penalty.
Yeah.
And you get a 15-yard penalty, let alone an ejection, you're hurting the team.
Yeah.
And that's every time you get a penalty, we go over it. We go over the why, how it happened. I've been places before where someone gets a 15-yard penalty and it's like, oh, that was worth it. It set the tone. That's not at all how we roll here. We think you can play a certain way and never do that. And it takes a special type of guy because you have to be very aggressive and physical.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't just be completely blacked out and going crazy.
Yeah.
And I think Dre is as good as anyone at that fine line. And even if you watch his suplex there,
Yeah.
watch how he ends it. If Dre wants to slam a person, he can slam somebody. And that it happened to be a lighter receiver, one of the lighter ones, and he's trying to get him down. He's 3 yards in bounds, and he did lift him up. But as he's about to slam him, he doesn't take him into the ground. He tries to let off.
Okay.
Now, Dre, you can't pick those guys up at all. You just hold them there and let someone else come hit them, or let someone else come take the ball. I'd rather that happen.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to slam a guy and stuff like that. But and that got too close. And if it does get close at all, you are going to get called.
Yeah.
And that is where we try to improve with Dre with, and that's the stuff he is really committed to improving on. So he's not one who's going to fight us on that. He'll understand that right after the game. You're like, man, I didn't think I was, and that's why I tried to let up at the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but it's too close, man. And you got that 15. And then, I didn't agree with the Jackson at all.
Yeah.
But bottom line is you did get ejected. So what do we have to do? Well, Kyle, I didn't throw a pull. It was this. It was like, right. Well, but you got ejected. So what do you got to do? I just got to get the heck away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you got to do. And and I think he will get better at that. But one thing I don't ever want to take away from Dre is how he plays, because Dre I think he's one of the best linebackers in this league. He inspires our whole team how he plays. The physicalness he plays with and the character of that dude he's got as high of character as anyone I've ever been around. So I don't doubt anything with that person. And we just got to find a way to keep him playing at that level and avoid hurting the team with penalties, which I personally think he's done a pretty good job on. That one was just kind of put in the spotlight there.
With the ejection, I mean, what kind of explanation did they give you? Because look, if you're not on the team or forget about the staff. If you're just not on the team, you shouldn't be touching the players. Period. That should be. I mean, everyone should know that. And then in the heat of the battle, there was really no punch. It was kind of pushing and shoving. Like I could have been okay with no ejection. Just like, you know what, like the referees, calm it down, talk to them, and say, you know what, that's unacceptable. We can't do that. And I I know referees don't do that anymore. They don't get the feel of the game. They're just like, oh, you did that, you're out. But I think it started with their guy, and then it kind of escalated. What kind of explanation were they giving you throughout that, or were they giving you one?
They do as much as they can. It's not like they have a remote either, and they're watching in slow motion or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just, the emotions are high, and it does look like a lot's going on there. But I mean, that's also why I go kind of crazy in the moments, because I don't understand the explanation totally.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of makes it kind of hard to accept a little bit, especially knowing that we were losing him for the whole game, especially for someone not involved. So those are the things that are tough. But I don't think it's always just the refs too. I mean, there's people from New York and stuff that look into that stuff, so you don't always know. But for the main part of that game, I thought the refs did I thought it was. I didn't feel as much that way last year when we were there in the NFC Championship, but I thought they did a really good job keeping that game under control, keeping everyone playing the right way, and that was an unfortunate situation that happened. But I'm not holding judgment on the ref for it.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of stuff, a lot of motion. I wish we could replay it and decide after that and do all that, but that didn't happen. And those are the things that are tough, but you got to deal with it. And that's why eventually I got to make sure I accept it so I don't get a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
All right. So hearing him talk about this, I'll be honest, I'm 100% on board of what he said. It seems like I'm hearing other people, content creators, people on Twitter, everywhere, pretty much saying, yeah, Dre Greenlaw pretty much didn't do anything wrong. He's got a, it was just, they were out to get him and all this stuff. But you know what? Kyle Shanahan was 100% right. He said he talked to him after, and he said, what could you have done to prevent this? Like, what could you have at least done? And Dre Greenlaw said a few things, about instead of body slamming him, he could have let up a little more, or with the whole Dom situation, could have just walked away. And by the way, doesn't Dom look like one of those lower guys, the henchman from The Sopranos? He looks like, I don't know, Vinny or someone like that. He's like under Tony Soprano. But I don't know. But I just thought that was funny. Man, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's a mobster or what, man. He definitely looks like an Italian mobster, that dude. But you know what? Yeah, I really do like what Kyle Shanahan said. He doesn't agree with, setting a tone. Giving him a 15-yard penalty to set a tone. Like, come on, dude. Let's be real here. It's happened before in the past. Let's be real. 2 straight NFC Championship games, 15-yard penalties from Dre Greenlaw. And I think that definitely hurt us more in the Rams game because he got that 15-yard penalty. Who remembers when Jimmy Ward got that 15-yard penalty? Those are game changers, absolutely game changers. And we just can't have that happen. We just can't have that happen. We have to be smarter. Dre's got to be smarter because he's such a good player. And he shouldn't have been thrown out. There's no question about that. He got kicked out, traded for a dude that's a security guard. That's stupid. That doesn't make sense. Should have never gone to that at all. But we can't be losing him because he was actually having a really good game. His PFF grade was really good. It was like a 74, 74.3, something like that. It was like the 5th best on the team. And he was doing a great job in coverage because Hurts had quite a bit of time. And the secondary out there, linebackers, corners, safeties, doing an amazing job. And we can't lose him because when D. Winters came in, I know he came in a few, like at the end of the game, he was whiffing on tackles. And Dre Greenlaw, he's really what he's known for is a great tackler. So we can't be affording it to lose him. But really liked what Kyle Shanahan had to say, man. We have to be smarter. And I get it, like those suplexes he does in the 90s, 80s, 70s, even probably early 2000s, you were allowed to do that stuff. That stuff was like, it was like recommended that you do it. Ronnie Law, those guys, that's awesome. However, now if you do that, you're going to get a 15-yard penalty. I remember the Cowboys game a few weeks ago. He did the suplex on Pollard, and all of us were looking all quiet like, oh, man, he's going to get a 15-yard penalty. And thankfully, he didn't that game. But it's happened over and over again. Just last year, remember week 1, Chicago, we controlled that game up double digits. Chicago was about to punt the ball again. 3 and out, 3rd down, the play's over. And then Dre Greenlaw, late hit out of bounds, 15-yard penalty. They drive down the field, touchdown. The whole momentum of the game just shifted, and that cost us the number 1 seed. So that's huge. It's huge, and I love Kyle Shanahan saying, "Dude, you can't be doing that. You can't be getting those penalties." But at the same time, supporting him like, "Yeah, you shouldn't have been thrown out too." So I thought he did a great job talking about that, and I would have done the same thing, because I'm hearing quite a few people saying, "Yeah, nothing was wrong. I wouldn't have told Drake or nothing." Like, dude, you're a coach, man. At the end of the day, it's about caring for the players, having their back. But at the same time, if something's up, you got to call them out. You got to tell them something. Hey, man, can't be doing this. And yeah, it's happened quite a bit. So hopefully this one was spotlighted and everyone was talking about it. So hopefully he learns from that. And he even said after the game, or the day after, that he's not a dirty player and he's not this and that. So hopefully that changes right there. That not him being a dirty player, but him getting those 15-yard penalties. because like, we don't want that, man. We don't want those penalties. We're already one of the highest penalized teams in the NFL, I believe. You know, we're up there. I know week 1, I think we had like 11 penalties against the Steelers. So that's one thing that can't happen. It can't happen. We can't be having these penalties out there that kind of could shift the momentum of the game. Good thing our offense was just on fire, where we just couldn't be stopped, baby. Our offense could not have been stopped at all. So shout out to them. But hopefully he learns from this, and those 15-yard penalties gets cut in half, or hopefully nothing, because we don't need it at all, you know. And it's too great of a team for us to be doing stuff like that, you know. Too great of a team. Dre Greenlaws, he's a great linebacker, speedster, hard hitter, and you love that stuff. But you know, hitting out of bounds, suplex city. I know you probably must be watching a lot of WWE, man. Who's that guy, Brock Lesnar? Suplex city, biatch. You know, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, I still a fan of Dre Greenlaw, because he's such a stud, man. Such a stud. 5th round pick. Pretty much, he helped us. As much as I said about the whole Chicago Bears that cost us, he's the one that pretty much helped us get to the Super Bowl 2019. Who remembers that play, goal line stand? What was it, Hostler, the tight end? I think it was him. It could have been someone else. It was one of those guys. He held him at the 1-yard line. Boom, just the collision, the speed that he has, the instinct. You know, it's awesome, absolutely great. So without him, we probably are not in that Super Bowl in 2019, because we probably would have been the 5th seed that year, compared to the first, where we had 2 home games and then went to the Super Bowl. But yeah, man, that's what I got. Great player. Hopefully no more of those 15-yard penalties. And obviously that dejection was baloney. Shouldn't have happened. And he shouldn't have been ejected. You know, shouldn't have been ejected. But yeah, man, that's what I got. Let me know what you think. Talk to you next time.